Welcome to the Wise Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Palmer, and this week we're joined by Hannah Ajikawo. Hannah is an award-winning go-to-market consultant and founder of Revenue Funnel, helping B2B scale-ups unlock growth and optimize their revenue engines. With 16 years of experience, Hannah has been recognized as a LinkedIn top voice, LinkedIn Sales Insider, Salesforce Influencer, and one of the 100 most powerful women in sales by Demandbase. She's also a HubSpot modern sales leader and a global expert in aligning sales processes with modern buyer journeys to drive sustainable growth. So you can see why I'm so keen to have her join me. Hannah, welcome to the podcast. I'm so happy that you could be my first guest.
I love this. You know what, Lauren? I feel like you should have been doing the announcements on like Stars in Their Eyes in the UK. And like that, I sound great. I feel like I needed like some blinds to open up. No, I'm happy to do it.
Oh, thank you so much. And funnily enough, when I recorded that, my editor, he's American, and he was like, "You should have been a voiceover artist." But honestly, I think it's the British accent that's spinning it for him.
Oh, I love it. Good for you.
Thank you so much. Well, look, you've got a really impressive track record, Hannah. And I think what I'd love to know from everything that you've achieved throughout your career, what stands out most for you when I went through that? What are you most proud of?
I am most proud of taking a risky and big bet on myself in 2019. I have never come from a place of financial stability. And I had no real evidence that stepping out on my own would be the right move. And I still felt like, I don't care. I'm just going to go do it. And so what's interesting is everything you mentioned there outside of the years of experience has come from me stepping out on my own. And I don't say that for people to think, tick, okay, that's my like justification to step out on my own. I say that because stepping out on your own comes with, there's like all these other things that come outside of that, right? You start to invest in yourself. We'll get into that, but it's just, that was the moment where everything changed for me. So that decision that I made in 2019, and I'm really terrible at making decisions because I'm a Libra, is the thing I'm most proud of, without a doubt.
Well, congratulations. It's a brave move, but you're clearly doing amazing things with it. And I think what stands out for me when you say stepping out on your own is you're someone that's really confident at delivering your message. So, I found you on LinkedIn. I followed you for a while. I love your posts. You're really authentic. And I think for me, it was super refreshing to see a female sales leader really command that space. I mean, I follow a lot of sales influencers, and I would say that the split is probably 80-20 at the moment. So I guess diving straight into what I'm trying to achieve with Wise and all the work I'm doing at advocating for women in sales, why do you think that there is a lack of female voices and particularly influencers like yourself in sales?
You know what, it's not actually a really easy question to answer. I would say that, so I don't feel like there is a lack of female voices. I feel like there's less of a platform for female voices. So there are so many instances where someone says, hey, these are the people to follow on LinkedIn, and they will list like, Adam, Jay, and Robert. And then someone jumps in and says, hey, you left off women. Here's some women to follow. And it's like, that happens. And people, and it's sometimes like, because I've seen it so many times, sometimes I genuinely feel bad for the person that posted it. Because I'm like, you may not even have seen your bias. You may not have even seen that when you were writing this list. It was literally 18 men. I don't know how you were writing that, but that's because they don't come from a place of being marginalized or a smaller group. So it's very hard to relate to anything that's not you. So it's because the platform does not allow for more voices. And that's why I do love making sure that I try to stay as authentic to myself as I can, just so other people feel like, you know what, yeah, frig it, I'm going to do that too. I'm going to make some content.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I did feel bad. I did call someone out on it the other day because it was a list of books. Like, I'm someone that likes to saturate myself in literature. Like, we're always learning as sellers, aren't we? And there's new methodologies all the time. And Yeah, he posted something about lots of books that are all written by men. I think there were probably a couple of women in there, and I called him out on it. And he was really genuine and was like, I didn't mean it. I honestly, I didn't mean it. But it is that afterthought that, I think I really want to see change. And I think someone like you who is vocal and is loud on the platform and confident in your messaging, like we want to see more Hannahs, really.
No, I appreciate that. I think we need to give, in those instances, we need to, people when they're posting, and that's something you learn, is that you need to give space for feedback, but we also need to give grace to those who may innocently have posted something and you're like, kind of missed the mark. Unless it's just like overtly racist, sexist, and all those other things. Then we slam into the ground.
Absolutely. And there's so much talk, isn't there, of personal branding and, how you align with your values and the message that you want to put out. How did you find your voice? How did you find your confidence with posting regularly and building the amount of followers that you now have?
Seeing a rapid decline in your bank balance will get you to find your brand and your voice, right? So when I lost my main client and in turn main source of revenue, when I went and got started, of course, I started on the cusp of COVID. For me, it was a case of I literally looked at my bank account and I looked at my expenses. I said, I've got 6 months. That's it. I have to make money. And I think I made £600 in 6 months. I wasn't like the person that's like, oh my God, I'm now, 6-figure launch and all this stuff. It sounds great. It's not like that for the majority of people. And so something in me said, you know what, I've always been on LinkedIn. I made the odd post, like I used to be the post event person, make a post and stuff. But then I said, I've worked with a lot of people. I'm connected to mostly people I've worked with. A lot of them I don't really like. So various different experiences. But I said, no one knows who I am. Now that I don't have this customer, no one knows me. They don't know if I'm good or not. And I let me share something. So I just made one video. I think I did like 42 takes. I found the old videos. I'm in a shirt as well. I'm in like a shirt and looking really smart. And I'm like, sales leaders need to pay attention to I don't know what I was saying. And I think I got like 7 likes and I was like, that's it. And I'll go again. And then I started making more posts. So I just felt, I posted content out of a necessity. And then some people noticed my content. And then it became a thing of you're building a personal brand. And I was like, oh, I should probably put intentionality behind this. But before that, I was like, I just need some customers. And I didn't get any by posting random things, by the way. It didn't happen like that so linearly.
I mean, I bet it made impact though, because we talk a lot about sellers, don't we? Adding value and being thought leaders and educating buyers, and you're very giving with your content on LinkedIn. Like I've watched one of your videos, Hannah. It was like an hour long. It was amazing. I was on the way to the airport. I remember I had it in my ears. But that takes a long time to record, and you were giving some really valuable stuff away there. So I reckon, it would have absolutely made impact with your client base because you are positioning yourself as an expert in this field.
It's the long game, right? So I didn't. So here's the thing with that, the example I gave before. So started posting out of necessity. Other people found me. That wouldn't have happened. And then all of these sales communities started coming up, like Rev Genius, Pavilion from Revenue Collective converted to letting associates in and stuff like that. And all of these other communities started growing. And then what happened is Clubhouse was huge then. So I was on Clubhouse doing talks, and me and another colleague that I met through posting content. And through that, one of the communities said, hey, let's run a chat every day. We'll do 2, one in the morning, one in the afternoon for procurement leaders. So we can bring buyers and sellers together in the same space. And it was really unique. And people used to show up, and I just engaged with someone who I consider like a LinkedIn friend from like 5 years ago now. We still talk. So what happened from that, though, is that when people did find me and have a need, they'd see this like breadcrumb of, oh my God, she literally talks about sales. Oh, she must do training. Oh, she looks like she does some strategy stuff. Let me reach out. So it was the breadcrumbs of having all of those old nuggets everywhere. Then I started to get on webinars and podcasts and stuff. Again, just the breadcrumbs. It all adds up.
Oh, it really does. And I talk about it a lot with my team, the importance of social selling. And being visible in that space where your clients are going, right? And LinkedIn, certainly for us, our clients are marketers. That's definitely a place that they go to. But not everyone is always comfortable with social selling. Do you think, considering, the year and where we're going in the world, do you think that leaders should be saying to sellers, this should absolutely be a staple part of your diary every day, and we expect you to be visible in places that your buyers are? Or do you think that's a tricky line to cross, given it has to, people are using their own name, their own brand to put the message out?
So I cannot imagine stepping into leading a team or going into any organization as a consultant and discouraging them from being present on social platforms. The majority of the companies I work with will work with B2B, are in a sort of like B2B techies type space. So their buyers are on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn's always going to be the platform that I revert back to. But the thing is, I never understood the concept of social selling. Because just to your point, it's giving. I'm social giving. The worst part of what I do is selling. But so it's really just a case of making sure that you're going out and networking. And I think if we change the language behind it, people might do it more often. Just go and meet people, go talk to people, and accept that if they don't want to engage with you, that's okay. So I always say to people, hey, I just released this, or here's a post, or is this, on the top of your mind right now? If not, absolutely no worries at all. Like, I'm not going to chase you. I might follow up, once or twice over the course of a month, just being like, I didn't hear from you. But other than that, I'm like, that's cool. I don't expect a response. You are not obligated to talk to me, but I just want to make sure you saw this message. You did, you don't care. That is really fine with me. And I think we are so butthurt when we go out and we try to social sell and we don't get the responses that we want or we need. So we have to change it to be more giving, more interaction, more, hey, if don't have to respond, and just be a bit more humble and operate with humility, and you'll be okay. You'll be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I see so many more posts now of buyers commenting on sellers' use of LinkedIn as a platform. Like, don't connect with me. I think you even posted about it. Put a little personal note if you're going to connect with me. Don't just connect with me and go straight into selling. That's just going to annoy me. Again, it goes back to, and again, this is another part of what I'm trying to do with Wise is launch a community called the Sales Revolution Community, which is all about ethical selling. It's all about doing things properly. And again, it goes back to being helpful by nature. So I love your comment there about, yes, you use social media, but you're not using it to try and get a meeting necessarily. You're just producing content that's helpful and then placing it on that person's desk. And if that opens the door for a face-to-face interaction, then brilliant. But if not, you've done your bit at being an expert in that space, and hopefully they know where to come to in the future, right?
And that's the thing, like, I like giving people the option. So so it's interesting. So that post I put up about connecting, I send blank requests all the time. But that's now because people have context. They know if they go to my profile, they'll know exactly what I'm about, and they can decide if they want to engage or not. So if it makes sense, I'll add context and say, oh, we met yesterday, or thanks for your link, your engagement on my post, whatever it is. But most of the time, I'm connecting with brand new people, and I'm just hoping my profile does the job. But most people don't have anything. They've got, you've got 422 connections, no post, no activity, no comments, and it says that you are, lead generator. I don't want to. You haven't messaged me to say, hey, Hannah, this is the context for this message. And so my assumption is you're going to pitch me. And the thing is, I don't mind being pitched, actually. I don't even mind if you connect and pitch. I'm all about efficiency. I'm all about automation. My issue is the irrelevant pitches, because now you're wasting my time. And that becomes annoying. It's like, you've pitched me, I'm cool, because I might have a need, and I'm like, thank you, good timing. I've accepted meetings with people because the timing is right. So I'm not against it, but please, just respect when someone says this is not for me, or at least be relevant at the bare minimum. Make it relevant. And it's like, hey, Hannah, we help software companies build apps. Do you have a need right now? I'm not a software company.
Right. Do you call them out?
In DM, sometimes I'll say, hey, this is not really relevant at all. Other times, but it's not, I haven't done that often unless I've had a few messages, because people are setting up fake LinkedIn profiles, and I'm like, I'm not going to respond to a fake LinkedIn profile, because you go back to the message and it says LinkedIn member, they've removed, they're deleted, they don't exist. And it's like, that's the sad part that's happening with of all this technology, it evolves and people abuse it. So that sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something that I'm starting to do politely, by the way, absolutely politely, but call it out. I get emails all the time, right? And I spend a lot of time with my team talking about the power of personalization, making sure that we understand the business that we're emailing. And obviously with AI, I mean, the number of emails that are landing in our inbox with irrelevant information has increased. And I will call it out, you know, where I'm really passionate about making sure that people are doing sales properly. And ultimately, that's because one of the things as part of Sales Revolution community is, honestly, Hannah, I'm sick of going to the pub and telling people I work in sales and people rolling their eyes at me. I really am. Because our job's hard and our job's rewarding and we give a lot. I did a podcast myself on sales being a giving job, like we're helping. You know, I see myself as really trying to help the people that I work with. But ultimately we're given a bad name because of bad practice. So I will call it out now in a polite way. And I urge anybody else who works in sales to do that as well. And to kind of, I suppose, train, which leads me into sort of my next question, Hannah. You know, training, I think, is really important in sales, culture as well. You know, it's a hard job. We have numbers over our head, building, you know, a healthy work environment that feels very supportive. So I wonder, just with your work through Revenue Funnel, you know, how many businesses do you think are getting this right? And when I say right, I mean top down, good training, and building an environment that isn't this high pressure cooker.
I would say 7 out of 10 companies have really pure intentions to get this right. I'd say I have been like blown away by maybe 2 out of 10, 1 out of 10, where I'm like, wow, I aspire to be like this. And that's working with almost 50 teams now over the course of like 7 or 8 years. I say that because 7 out of 10 have good intentions. So people, you build these teams and you've got this company and you've got ambitions to grow. So you get all these people in and then very quickly you realize it's actually harder than you think. And there's a lot of infrastructure inside the go-to-market team that's just not built yet to allow for all of these people and all this stuff to happen. Let's go get more customers. Damn, we don't have enough CSMs. Oh, let's bring on 25 BDRs. Damn, we don't have the training ready. Oh, now we have people sitting on their hands. And it's like, we just needed to slow down a little bit. The flip side is the companies, sorry, and I'll continue. So the 3 out of 10 that don't are just crazy leaders. I mean, just like outright crazy leaders. I gave an example yesterday on the podcast, right? Someone I was interviewing for a client and helping them build out their whole like hiring process, talent development stuff. And I was speaking with a really, really senior level salesperson, more sales experience than me, asking and understanding, like, just cut the BS. Why are you looking for a role? I don't give me the fancy stuff. This is the best company you've ever seen, because it's not. No one knows us. Keep it real. What are you looking for? And when they told me the reason for leaving, it was because they had a new sales director that joined, sales director, CRO type role. And they said to them, forget the previous sales process. We're going to be bringing in something new. And it was, you have to learn this 45-page deck, and that's our sales process. You have to learn that inside out. You have a week to learn it, and you're going to all pitch to everyone in the team. That person said, that's just ridiculous. That's not how you sell. You don't just pitch 45. So, well, this is the way that we make it repeatable and scalable. Those leaders, people actually complained about that leader, and the CEO said, let's just, give him a chance. We just come in. No, actually, your best reps are telling you, the majority of the team, this is insanity, and you've allowed it to happen. So that CEO probably had great intentions of bringing on a leader. The leaders come in, is obviously not all there. And rather than being like, this is a no, that's not how we fit culturally, let's figure out some middle ground where we have repeatability, but not a 45-page like memorized deck. It was like, just give them time. And that's a shame. So I think there are some companies that get it right, and it's just everything. The CEO is like 100% accountable of when things are going up and down, right? I've been in companies. I was doing a fractional VP of sales role for 9 months. Company was run like an absolute machine. CEO realized, there's we're seeing a trending downwards of inbound leads over the course of 3.5 weeks. We need to build an outbound strategy. Done. Discovery, training, sale, messaging, positioning. Let's get everyone ready. Told who's responsible for what. And it's like he said, I'm responsible for that. It's not down to my reps to figure out why am I getting less leads. Let me figure out how to build it. He said it starts from the top culturally, and got the training and the processes and the cultural shift immediately. That's what we need to see more of.
Amazing. And was that, just going back, you said there was one company that was doing it really well. Was that company?
That's an example of one of them.
Foundational in training.
Yeah. It's just fundamental in everything. The training was robust. It wasn't perfect, but it was consistent enough to deliver a very repeatable and predictable outcome. There was obviously ways to improve it, but it was structured. And I've just seen really interesting training where people are engaged, that they're not engaged, sorry. They're people are like, what? I don't know what this is. I don't understand the meaning behind why I want to sell this way. I don't understand the logic behind why we're taking this approach. And the training has been built for the leaders and not the sellers. It's like, it makes sense to you. So you're like, I built training, but the sellers are like, I'm not even going to use it. I don't adopt this.
Got it. And I don't know from your experience, but certainly from mine, I feel like we're constantly testing, right? You might test a certain hook, you might test a certain message, or you might even test a particular product that you think is going to absolutely fly, but maybe that's not actually the product that's most interesting to the buyers that you're reaching out to. So I think it's being in an environment where we call it, at Interlink, where I work now, is that kind of solution-driven mindset. It's like, all right, this isn't working, rather than sort of blame everybody else or blame the sellers. It's like, let's pivot. Let's relook at everything. Let's start again with the coaching. Let's start again with the training, and let's experiment, because that's the only way we're going to know, right?
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that a lot of companies do not trust their reps on the ground to give feedback and to help inform training and the direction of things, to say, hey, this is what we're learning. How do we now deal with this situation? It's like, no, let's focus on this. And it's crazy. And also, one of the things that I don't see enough of, to be fair, across any company ever, is training of CSMs. And that there's the same amount of dedication given to those reps. I call them into training when I've had clients. I'm like, hey, do you want to join this training? They're like, oh my God, yes, please. I'd love to hear what salespeople are saying. I'm like, no, but it's also for you. But also, it scares me that you don't know what salespeople are saying. So I don't know what it is. So I really try not to say that I do sales training. I'm always like go-to-market training. I don't say I do, you have a sales process issue. I try to say you have a go-to-market process issue. I'm trying to inform teams that it's always cross-functional. It can't always be on sales. Sales shouldn't get the special treatment, and they also shouldn't get battered. It's a company thing, but it's always on sales, and it drives me mental.
Oh my God, I agree with that completely. You mentioned earlier that you've been sold to a lot, right? And so have I. And I think as sellers, we're very attuned to what's good selling and what's bad selling. Just for the listeners, and I hope some of my team are listening, when someone has sold to you really well and they've just got you, what was it that they did? What got your attention?
They cared. Mm-hmm. That's it. I have one person who I will find a way to buy from this year. That's how much I like this kid. I say kid, I'm sorry. I'm almost 40 now, and everyone's 20. You're a kid. But I don't mean to be condescending. It's just I see I see the hard work, and I see that kind of like youthful grit, and it reminds me of like how I used to be with these really senior leaders, right? Often old white men when I was a junior rep. Like, it was I don't think, did I ever, other than like the odd marketing woman, I mostly sold to men and old white men, and they love me. We had lots of fun. But like, what was interesting is I used to get that feedback. You just care. You really care. I can tell you care. I was like, thank you. So yeah, people that care often win my heart. And if I don't buy from you now, I'll buy from you in the future. I'll find a way to get you a deal if it can't be with me as well. I'm just that kind of person. Absolutely.
I think sometimes that comes from like real passion. Like I've always probably cared too much sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's because I feel really, really passionate about what I do. And sometimes during that interview process as well, you think, can you train passion? Can you train it? Or is that just innate for you as a person?
I don't think you It's easier to train someone who understands that sales is about helping. Whereas we when we are bringing salespeople into our organizations, we don't really share and help educate them around what it really means to sell. And I've mentioned this before, but when you go back 400 plus years and you look at the old English language, to sell comes from a word called selan, which means to give. And even was talking about revenue on a podcast the other day, which is mean to put value out and get something in return. Like that's like the traditional word of revenue from like 100 years ago or something. So again, this is all about value and it's all about giving. And for some reason we turned it into it's all about taking and it's all about annoying. It's never been about that. It's always been about value creation. And when you share that to people and help them understand like the warmth and the care behind selling, it feels better. So I train reps. I do like one-to-one coaching. I don't really promote it that often, but I mean, I'm doing like Loom recording, minute by minute analysis of calls, right? They hate it, but they really secretly love it at the same time. And I'm like, I need to help you care more and take this conversation away from your product and what you're pushing. And they're like, damn. And when we go through calls together, so we'll share a screen and we'll press play on the call, they're like, oh man, I can see it now. Like I just can't stop I can't stop trying to take and I'm not giving anything. And I'm like, we're 27 minutes in and you haven't given anything. Why did they join the call? They're like, damn. So it's really helping reps understand that you need to just get so good at helping and giving a shit.
I love that. God, that's such a powerful message to kind of wrap up on, really. But again, one of the tips I'll give is like dedicate time to saturate yourself in content around the industry that you operate in.
Oh, big
because
time.
You'll care. You'll care what's going on. You'll care what the priorities are. You'll stop focusing on your product and your business, and you'll start to have really interesting conversation with people about, are they experiencing the same thing? Where are they focusing their business for the year? And eventually, if the time is right, that's when you have an opportunity to talk about how you can help them. But honestly, to all sellers, I would say, give yourself an hour just to read articles, get yourself a cup of tea and saturate yourself in content. So thank you for that, Hannah. That was amazing. Just to finish up, I've got 3 quick fire questions, if that works.
No, I was prepared for these. Let's go.
Let's go. Top trait for being successful in sales. We've talked a lot about giving, but anything else you can think about?
It's still going to be consistency. And this is meant to be quick fire. I'm terrible at these. I'd say consistency and a routine. So kind of the same. You need to have a structure to how you go about doing your day because it's very monotonous and you need to be able to do that very often. Absolutely.
Discipline, consistency, passion. Yeah. Favorite sales book?
I used to have a favorite sales book and I like a lot of Anthony Iannarino's books. It's called like the best sales book you'll ever need. And then he wrote 4 more. However, what I'd say is he really helped me understand how I sell. And he talks about basically sales is a series of yeses and commitments. I'd say read that book. You won't really need to read other sales books after that. Just read other books outside of sales and you'll learn much more.
Amazing. It's on the list. And then last question, most inspiring female sales leader?
Oh.
Other than you, obviously.
Definitely myself, Lauren. You know what? I would have to say, particularly in the last few years, because I have the benefit of working alongside them, so I know them inside out, Chantel George.
Oh, I know Chantel.
CEO and founder of Sisters in Sales. And the reason why is because not only is she, I always call her a baby, she hates this, but she's in her early 30s. And she's created the biggest community of women of color in sales. But it's not that. It's, if you work alongside her, she takes, like, there's no no's. There is absolutely no no's, right? She makes everything happen. She cares about everyone. She mentions your name in every room that she goes into. She's always looking for opportunities to help others. She managed a full-time job at like companies like Twitter and LinkedIn while building a community. When someone like Matthew Knowles, Beyonce's dad, says, I want to do whatever I can to help you, you're obviously doing something right. And that's what happened with Chantel. So she's amazing.
She is awesome. And fun fact, I worked with Chantel at LinkedIn.
No way.
We worked together. Yeah. So we've kept in touch over the years. And
I
to
didn't
see,
know that.
yeah, so we did some onboarding. I'll send her this afterwards. Onboarding in the San Francisco LinkedIn offices, and we spent loads of time together. She is unbelievable. If anyone doesn't know of her, definitely give her a follow. The stuff she's doing for women of color in sales is phenomenal, and she's just authentically her. So,
It's amazing.
yeah. Well, Hannah, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. Keep up all the work that you're doing. You're very inspiring to all of us, and thank you for joining me as the first guest.